Hello and welcome to my 2D character controller tutorial. In this tutorial we'll learn how to make a basic character controller for platform games. In this scene I have a player with a rigid body 2D and a circle collider 2D. The rigid body is frozen with the Z rotation to stop it spinning. And next we have the ground, which has a simple edge collider 2D set to near the top of the sprite. Now that that's all sorted, let's add a script to the player. We're going to call this player controller. Click create and add. Now double click it and open in Visual Studios. First let's clean up the code a bit, and now we're going to put some variables in here for our movement, which I've called movement variables. These will be private, so we'll be using a serialized field to be able to edit it in the inspector. Our first variable we're going to need will be setting the move speed for the player, so we're going to put a private float move speed, and we'll set this to let's set it to 5 for now. Next we'll need another serialized field for a private float, and this is going to control our jumping, so we'll call it private float and we'll call this jump force, and let's set it to 10. Okay, I want to keep control over the variables that we use for our movement input, so we're going to set this as a vector 2. We'll make this public so we can see it in the inspector. We'll call it movement. And we'll also need to get control of our rigid body, so we're going to have to set a variable for that too. It's a rigid body 2D. We'll just call this RB. Okay, in the start method we're going to need to get the component of the player game objects, so use RB, get component, and we'll set rigid body 2D. Alright, next we're going to have to go into the update and we'll start logging the variables for our movement with our horizontal and our vertical position. So say movement X is equal to inputs dot get axis. We'll use axis raw, and this one is going to be our horizontal movement, so we'll put horizontal. Next we're going to need movement Y. We won't use this in this lesson, but it's going to come in handy for a future lesson, which is input dot get axis raw, and we'll say vertical. These are inbuilt Unity functions. Okay, let's start moving our character, I think. Yeah, so we'll need a fixed update for this. Sorry you can't see the pop-ups, I didn't realise after the recording that you cannot see what I'm doing. But anyways, we're going to use a transform.position plus equals. We're going to need to use a new, we'll go vector 3, movement.x. We're going to not go on the Y, so it's a 0, and the Z is going to be a 0. And we'll have to times this by our move speed. Then we'll times it by time.delta time. This will stop it from changing speed. Okay, now that we're back in Unity, let's give this a quick test. So it's moving left, right, and we'll just check to make sure it's logging. Yes, -1 and 1. Now up and down function is moving too. Let's go back and do the jump function next. So just quickly comment this out as login move variables. Alright, so now we're gonna work on the jump. So we'll just put a little comment as handle jumping. So if you don't understand this next part, it doesn't really matter. We'll cover it in a more advanced controller once I'm actually back at my house and not in isolation. So we'll use if input.get button down, and we'll use another Unity function, jump. This is your spacebar on your computer. And we're going to use a math library to make sure that it's not moving in the Y velocities. So we'll use math F, we'll use the absolute value, so it's ABS. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, yep, ABS, and we'll use our rb.velocity y, and we'll check to see whether it is less than a really small number. So I might use 0.001. No, let's go 0.1. Alrighty, so now that we've got that there, we're going to have to do something with the velocity. Let's use rb.add force. We're going to use a new vector 2. We're not going to move on the x-axis, so it's set as 0, and our y is going to be our jump force. And the force mode, make sure to use force mode 2D, and we're going to set that as an impulse. This should handle our jumping functionality. Okay, let's test it out in Unity. Good, we are jumping. Right, for our next part, we're going to handle flipping. So I'll just do a quick little alteration of my character so we can actually make sure that it is flipping. Right, just bear with me for a second. This next part you might not understand, so just make sure to copy it word for word and using the same syntax as me. If math.approximately 0, movement dot x, then we are going to have to use, let's say transform.rotation. We will set this equal to transform.rotation. We'll set that equal to movement x less than 0, the question mark, quaternion.euler 0, 180, 0. Next, you use a little snake bite and we'll say quaternion.identity. This should handle the flipping of the sprite. Now we have a character that can move, jump and flip. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this content, which will help promote my channel. Thank you.